Call this meeting of the Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of Board of Trustees is present, that the meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good evening. Our mission at Duncanville ISD is to engage, equip, and empower all scholars to achieve their unique potential. We will now go into closed session. Closed session. Do I have a motion to approve the appointment of the listed recommendation as presented?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Cassandra Phillips and seconded by Janet Veracruz. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Kathleen Brown will now introduce the new Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Smith, Board of Trustees. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Mrs. Tina Bynum. Mrs. Bynum, if you would join me at the podium. Mrs. Bynum is a passionate educational leader who brings over 26 years of experience to her new role. She received her Bachelor of Arts from Stephen F. Austin University and her Master's in Educational Administration from Lamar University. She has served as a teacher, instructional coach, Dean of Students, Assistant Principal, and most recently as the Pre-K-12 ELAR Curriculum Coordinator in Irvine ISD. Mrs. Bynum specializes in creating culturally responsive curriculum that provides teachers with the tools to find success in the classroom with their students. Please help me give a warm welcome to Mrs. Tina Bynum, the new Director of Curriculum and Instruction for Duncanville ISD. And I'd also like to recognize her family who's here with her tonight. If you all would stand, her husband and her son and his girlfriend. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. We will now move to opening ceremonies. The invocation will be given by Janet Veracruz, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Cassandra Phillips.
Good evening, everyone. If you would just bow your heads for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we gather together and come into an agreement in the name of Jesus. Where two or more are gathered, there you will be in the midst of us, and anything we agree upon is touching you. We seek your guidance and protection as we navigate this meeting and decisions being made tonight for the better of our school leaders, educators, students, and superintendent. Help everyone to filter and focus on the things you know they need to change and improve. We call this meeting abundantly blessed and abounding with fruit in his name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Thank you both very much. We will move on to the superintendent's report, and I turn the meeting over to Dr. Smith.
All right, thank you, Madam President, and fellow board members and those that are in attendance tonight. Board, I have a few items that I'd like to report on. The first item is a small video that we have on the Charles Acton Leadership Academy. As you all know, we are focusing on leadership at Charles Acton Elementary School, and we have several different video series that we have out that is highlighting the various habits. And the first habit that we are focused on is habit number 1, which is being proactive. And are we prepared to show the video? We're not prepared to show, okay. All right, we're not prepared to show the video. Well, it will be available to all of us on the website, and we'll make sure you get the video. The next item that I wanted to report on, Board, is just congratulating the Board on the awesome accomplishment a few weeks ago and the recognition a few weeks ago at the TASA-TASB conference. The Duncanville ISD Board of Trustees, they were recognized a few weeks ago by TASA-TASB at the annual statewide convention in Dallas. Our board is one of five finalists that was interviewed by a committee of Texas school administrators. It's a part of the program which honors Texas school boards that have demonstrated commitment to their students and to their communities. And so as a finalist, our board president, Janice Savage Martin, was called to the stage to accept the district's award during the general session for the convention. And so to be named one of the top 5 boards in the state of Texas is quite a high achievement. It speaks to the level of excellence that each of our board members exhibit on a daily basis. And so I wanted to extend just another congratulations and thank you for the preparation, the dedication leading up to the actual interview here committee. You did an awesome job, represented yourself well, represented the community and obviously our school district well, and you are indeed a top board in the state of Texas. So I wanted to thank you for that. And it is so good to be recognized by your peers from around the state. The next item that I wanted to share with you, I had an opportunity last week to receive an invitation from the Commissioner of Education, Commissioner Mike Morath. He is actually on schedule to do a site visit here in Duncanville ISD, but he invited me to speak at the Dallas Regional Chamber on the state of public education. It was a great opportunity just to visit with the commissioner, share the great things that are going on in Duncanville ISD, but also to the business leaders of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, an opportunity to just talk about the state of public education and the impact that COVID has had on our district. It was an awesome opportunity and a privilege for me to represent our district and to highlight some of the successes that we've been able to have in place despite some of the challenges that we are facing. And it was an opportunity for me to brag on our teachers and our staff and everyone that's doing their very best under some very difficult, challenging circumstances to serve our students. So it was a great honor, and we do look forward to the commissioner coming out and visiting our school district. The next item that I have to report on this evening is our men's Capella Choir. Duncanville High School's Capella Choir recently received a top honor and a national recognition for musical achievement. The ensemble was named the national winner in the Mark of Excellence competition. Duncanville's choir was one of just 6 chosen for this honor given by the Foundation for Music Education. It is just another example of a long-standing success of our choir and Mr. Jesse Cannon and his leadership. You may recall that our choir was invited to perform at the American Choral Directors Association annual conference last year. And so they recorded that performance, and it was the title of the song that they recorded was The Journey. Well, this got on everyone's radar, and so it received national attention, and this was part of what led to our music education program receiving this very distinguished honor. So we are proud of Mr. Cannon and proud of the students that continue to provide a great legacy for our program here in Duncanville ISD. The last item that I have for you is October is National Principals Month, and you've heard me say it before, but leadership truly matters, and we have some outstanding leaders in our school district. They are committed to excellence. They're committed to doing the work of serving our students. They are true troopers and have really endured a lot in terms of being in a leadership role during a very difficult time in public education. And so they are to be commended for their grit, their hard work, and their dedication. These men and women put students first, and they encourage our staff to embody the unstoppable excellence that we've been talking about and focused on all year. So if you get a chance to see them, let them know how much you appreciate them.
Cool.
So thank you, Madam President. Those are the items that I have to report on this evening. I turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Smith. And I would like to say on behalf of the board that we were very, very honored to represent Region 10 as the honor board, and then, of course, in the top 5. But I gotta say, we did want to win. We trained, we studied, we really, really wanted to win. But again, we're very honored to be in the top 5. We will now move to recognitions. I will turn the meeting over to Tiara Richard.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. Again, every month we bring before you the donations that have been provided to the district and just sort of to recognize those individuals and those businesses that dig into their pockets and donate and give of themselves freely to benefit our schools throughout the district. So the first one I have up, we have the Duncanville Area Retired School Employees, or DARS. They donated staff gift certificates to the school district's media center, and the value of that donation was $72.40. And there's a picture of Dr. Smith speaking to DARS just last month. So again, a group that's very active and involved in the district, and just staying connected with our teachers before they ever retire, and then obviously keeping them connected to the district once they do. Next slide. Up next, we have the Duncanville Outreach Ministries. The group donated school supplies to the district, and the donated value of those items is $75. Again, every penny matters, and the fact that they wanted to give of themselves so freely is just a benefit to our school, and it's a testament to our schools throughout the district. And our next one is Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Southwest Dallas County Alumni Chapter. They donated personal protective equipment, PPE, which included hand sanitizer, face masks, gloves, and antibacterial wipes. And they brought those to the district and delivered those on our behalf, just to make sure that we have additional resources, always looking and appreciative for the gift of safety for our community. Okay, so that concludes the donations this month. I'd like to continue with another recognition that we have. So Friday was the last day of National Hispanic Heritage Month. And even though we recognize and celebrate the Hispanic culture in our community year-round, it was nice to take a moment to really look throughout the month and just review all of the really great recognitions that occurred throughout the district. Some of our campuses hosted assemblies, some did special programs with traditional dress and food to showcase Hispanic culture. Pictured here are photos from Hardin Intermediate and Bill Hart's Elementary School. And at Duncanville High School, the Multicultural Committee partnered with the Spanish Club and Spanish Honor Society to host Hispanic Heritage events throughout the month. To share just a little bit more about those events at the high school, I have before me Miss Carolina Vasquez. She is a Duncanville High School Spanish teacher, and I'd like to invite her up to just share a little bit about some of those recognitions that occurred at the high school. Ms. Vasquez?
Good evening, and thank you for having me here, school board. I wanted to tell you a little bit about what the Multicultural Committee has been doing at the high school level. This is our 3rd year working, and I'm very thankful for Mr. McDonald for his support, the leadership of Dr. Evangelista, and the work of the committee. This year for Hispanic Heritage, we had some events at the school level, but we decided to have an assembly that was held over 2nd and 5th block on September 27th and the 28th. We invited 14 classes each day, and as they came and participated as our audience, we had students from different organizations participate. On our next slide, we can see we had our senior, Juan Rios, sing a beautiful song, Mexican tradition. We had Cynthia Castillo, one of our juniors, bring her beautiful dress and folkloric dance of Mexico. We had a display of all the flags of the Hispanic countries, and to this I can tell you a lot of students did not know that we had 21 countries represented Hispanics, and so they felt like they were learning a whole lot just through the music, the color, and the history of Hispanics. We also had a panel of members, and we started with our very own teachers. We invited Ms. Espinosa and Ms. Limon to be part of the panel members. We then moved into our principals, assistant principals, and we had Mr. Leyva and Mr. Orozco be part of it, and then we moved out to our community. And I'm very thankful for Trustee Vera Cruz because she helped me out, reach out to several people. We had Mr. De Los Santos from LULAC. We had Mr. Trejo from Texas FADS. We had Ms. Guillen from Ruiz and Ruiz, and our councilman, Vera Cruz, and our own Ms. Trustee Vera Cruz be part of the panel. The purpose of the panel was for them to discuss their childhood experiences as Hispanics, their own struggles, and the ways they overcame this through education. Our students were very impressed. They were very attentive. They were very excited. At the end, through a survey, they told us they really enjoy learning about their teachers, about their upbringings, and that brought them closer to their teachers. They said they really enjoy learning about the various cultural backgrounds and the ways they can also motivate themselves to reach their personal goals. So they saw a lot of positive things through this, and I'm just very thankful because without the community and the school, we wouldn't have been able to do this. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then so to close out recognitions for the month of October, I'd like to continue on with our Made with Pride in Duncanville Staff, Teacher, and Student of the Month. So first up, let me bring up Miss Vicki Bryant from Transportation. Vicki. All right. Yeah, big applause for Miss Bryant here. Thank you very much. So Ms. Bryant is the Special Education Route Supervisor for the Transportation Department. Ms. Bryant always goes above and beyond for parents and staff when it comes to providing information regarding transportation. She is always helpful, resourceful when it comes to questions or concerns that arise about routes or other bus information. Mr. Brad Hamrick actually wrote in the nomination. He said our department can rely on Vicki to provide accurate information in a timely manner. And not only that, but always with a smile and friendly demeanor. She is a perfect example of the high level of customer service that the district sets. So Ms. Vicki Bryant, I want to congratulate you and thank you for being our Made with Pride in Duncanville Staff Member of the Month. Congratulations. All right. Next up, I would like to call up Ms. Leah Johnson. Ms. Leah Johnson is the Reed Middle School counselor, and she fits the description, be the Lamborghini, or BTL. That's one of the mottos there at Reed. And it's a hashtag that describes leaders that strive for excellence and fill whatever gap or hole exists, regardless of their title or position. When Ms. Johnson sees a need, she jumps right in. This summer, Reed Middle School hosted a business and technology summer camp, and it was designed to be interactive, engaging, and fun. At the last minute, they needed to step in and pull someone new into that role to support, and Ms. Johnson immediately volunteered to do so throughout the summer. And so she taught those students at that camp for 4 days and got them ready for the school year. And if you know anything about our choice programs, our business and technology program, that camp sets our students up for success. And so the fact that you stepped in makes a big difference in that moment. Anytime there's something that happens on campus that needs additional support, Ms. Johnson is there. She's there to take care of her Reed family. And most recently, she started filling in as a volunteer for the Family and Community Engagement Program, supporting that effort there on campus. And so we are so proud of Ms. Johnson and all she does. She's just a valuable member of the Reed family, but also of the district as a whole. And so we are proud of her and congratulate her as our Made with Pride in Duncanville Teacher of the Month. And our student who's going to be honored tonight, Mr. Davion Murray, could not be here. Mr. Murray is a senior at Pace High School, but he is also working. He's a responsible young man, and he tried really hard to get off this evening, but could not leave his job. So since he couldn't be here this evening, we wanted to make sure that we included him in the video that recognizes our Made with Pride in Duncanville teacher, student, and staff. So we have that video for you now.
Duncanville ISD congratulates the following student, staff member, and teacher who are made with pride in Duncanville. So here at Reed Middle School, my job entails being the school counselor for the 8th grade students. I am responsible for their social and emotional well-being, making sure that they're prepared for high school as well as college, and ensuring that they're productive citizens going out into the real world. Being the Lamborghini is a logo that we use, and I believe that every day I strive to be that. The motto that I live by goes, when a task is once begun, never leave it until it's done. Be a laborer, great or small, do it well or not at all. And so just my passion for making sure students have what they need. I don't take lightly what I do. I value the people that I work with. I do know that it is a team effort, and so because of that, they've allowed me to shine in a way that has elevated me. And so working with this staff lets me know that I'm not only in the right place, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Hi, my name is Davion Murray, and I'm a senior at Pace High School. My family, number one, that's what drives me. Stuff started changing after when COVID. I was either gonna be here or Dallas Ken. So when I got here, it's less distractions. I don't have my phone, so I'm not checking my phone every 5 minutes to see who texted me. And for two, I want to make it. And the people that I got here, the teachers and the staff in general, they help. I want to get my diploma and get back on the right track.
Well, my main job is to make sure that our students with special needs are routed on the best bus for them. I also am a supervisor over the special ed drivers to make sure that that they're getting the training they need, that we're all doing what we're supposed to do to get our kids to and from school. I can never put myself in their shoes to be a parent or guardian of a kid with special needs, but it's fulfilling to that little piece of their life. We're all committed to getting our kids to school.
These honorees truly are made with pride in Duncanville.
Thank you, Ms. Richard. We will now move to communication from citizens to discuss pending agenda items before the board. It is my understanding that we do not have any cards for this agenda item. We'll now move to take action on items discussed in closed session. No, sorry.
We'll now move the consent agenda.
To consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we move agenda item, 8D from action to consent.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, the motion was made by Cassandra Phillips and seconded by Janet Veracruz to move agenda item 8D into the consent agenda. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion carries 6-0. Now we will vote on the consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Cassandra Phillips and seconded by Jackie Colton. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda items? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Now we will move to the action agenda items and item 8A.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. If you recall, last month our financial advisor from BOK was here and discussed with you the opportunities that we may have to refund some bonds. We're bringing you tonight an agenda item where we're asking you to approve parameters so that as time goes on and the opportunity is there to refund the bonds at the best possible savings that we can strike at that without having to come back to you. So if you'll move to the next slide, please. These are the parameters that are set up in that 500-page thing you have in your book, or however long it is. if you remember, he talked about two different sets. One is tax-exempt refunding and one that's taxable. Those really just mean the people that buy the bonds. It doesn't affect us. We don't pay taxes. And I don't know that he brought that out last time, but that's the difference in the two. The amount of savings, and we'll just go down the tax-exempt one first. Minimum savings, if we can't get at least $2.5 million in savings, then the bonds won't be sold. Maximum principal amount is $16,355,000. That's regardless of what the savings is, that's the total amount that can be refunded there. True interest rate not to exceed 2.25%. Final maturity can't exceed February 2033, but that's the maturity date of the bonds that would be replaced, so you can't extend past that, which we wouldn't want to anyway. And the expiration date would be 1 year from tonight. So if the bonds weren't sold within a year because they didn't meet these parameters, then we either wouldn't or we'd come back to you with a different set of parameters. On the taxable refunding, minimum savings $20 million, maximum principal amount $107,180,000. If you'll notice that true interest rate is in yellow is 2.75. In your book, it says 2.5%. Those interest rates have risen just a little. So the consultant and I talked about it, and we felt like another 0.25% interest certainly wouldn't hurt us that much, and it would still give us a substantial savings, or if we don't get the 20 million, we wouldn't do it anyway. So that's why that's in yellow, because if you look in your book, it says 2.5. So that's a little different. Final maturity, 2045, once again, that's the bonds that are being replaced. And with this one, it'd be 1 year from tonight. If the bonds weren't sold, then once again, we'd either come back to you for another parameter order, or if interest rates are just going crazy, we'd just drop it until things could get better. So that's basically boiling down what's in there for the parameters. If you approve this tonight, then Dr. Smith and I will work with our financial advisor, and as these are possible, and one may be possible and the other one not at one time, so we might want to proceed with one or the other. Probably the tax exempt right now, the way interest rates are, that would probably take place first. But they could both possibly do that. If you approve this, there's a suggested motion in the executive summary. If you would make the motion using that language, then we'd be covered. But be happy to try to answer any of your questions or explain things further if you need to. Once again, all you're doing is approving these parameters. You're not saying sell it tonight. That would be at the discretion of administration when these parameters are met.
Madam President, I move to adopt an order authorizing the issuance and sale of Duncanville Independent School District unlimited tax refunding bonds in one or more series.
Second. Okay, the motion has been made by Carla Fahey and seconded by Dr. Lasagna. Sorry. Are there any questions, comments? No. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. And thank you for staying on top of this, you and Dr. Smith, to save the district money. We'll now move to action item B, district campus and targeted improvement plans. Dr. Halajika.
Well, good evening, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Smith. In accordance with policies BQ Local and AIC Legal, it is my pleasure to share with you for your approval the district campus and targeted improvement plans for the 2021-22 school year. Annually, districts and campuses are required to develop improvement plans for the purpose of improving student achievement. Duncanville ISD goes through a comprehensive assessment, analysis, and design process in order to create plans that align with the board's strategic priorities and goals. and that intentionally move our district forward in its continuous improvement efforts. This past spring, we worked with a stakeholder committee to review our core mission and vision and recommended long-range goals, including those required by HB 3. The board adopted the new strategic plan for 2021 through 2026. By policy, the board is required annually to approve only the goals of the district and campuses. In Duncanville ISD, the goals at the district and campus levels are directly aligned to the board's 5-year strategic plan goals. This ensures that all campuses and the district are headed in the same direction by working to align to achieve the targets set by the Board of Trustees. Our campus and district improvement plan priorities are the 5 district strategic priorities: student academic success, students, families, and community connections, personnel and professional development, operational excellence, and financial stewardship and facilities. Our improvement plan goals are also the same as the 17 goals on the strategic plan. So when you look at the improvement plans that have been provided on the district and campus websites, you will see that strategic alignment. The reason the district and campus plans are done in alignment with the district strategic plan is because we do not work as a district of schools. Instead, we work as a school district with a shared vision, mission, goals, and purpose. The district and campus improvement plans allow us to chunk the long-range strategic plan into 1-year pieces so that we are able to steadily work towards achieving the overall vision and long-range goals. Therefore, schools may not have strategies in every goal area this year, since the strategic plan is again a 5-year plan and the district and campus improvement plans are 1-year plans. So in order to give the board an opportunity to dive deeper into the campus plans, we will be scheduling a campus planning carousel. This will be a special board workshop where principals will rotate or carousel around to each board member for a specific time period to share their campus strengths, improvement areas, and key initiatives. Board members will then have the opportunity to briefly ask the principals questions. We anticipate holding this workshop sometime in November. In addition to the federally required improvement plans, the Texas Education Agency requires campuses that are identified for improvement based on state and federal accountability standards to create and submit targeted improvement plans. In our district, we work to integrate the targeted improvement plans with the campus improvement plans to avoid competing priorities. The targeted improvement plans must connect to the 5 levers of TEA's Effective Schools Framework, ESF. Even though campuses did not take STAR during the spring of 2020 and did not receive accountability letter grades in 2020 or 2021, the campuses identified in 2019 will continue to create and submit TIP plans for the 21-22 school year. I know that was a lot. The campuses that have to complete a TIP plan are Acton Elementary, Alexander Elementary, and Hastings Elementary, based on their accountability ratings prior to the pandemic. So last year, we adjusted how these campuses engaged in TIP planning, taking a back-to-basics approach. All 3 campuses will be working on the same 3 essential actions: curriculum alignment, effective instructional strategies, and data-driven instruction. We know that research has proven time and time again that if schools align to a rigorous and viable curriculum, ensure effective lesson planning and instruction, and of course use data-driven practices through formative assessments, then students will grow in their learning and achievement gaps will close. Of course, that is our goal for all campuses, but for these 3 campuses specifically, we are working with the campus principals to achieve these desired annual outcomes that are listed here. School improvement campuses have embedded these focus areas into their campus improvement plans and have presented them to their stakeholder committees for review as well. So the campus and district improvement plans have been posted on the Duncanville ISD website for community access. You can go to the next slide. And will be reviewed quarterly to ensure ongoing progress is being made towards achievement of the board's strategic priorities and goals. The targeted improvement plans have also been placed on the district website for viewing. Therefore, it is the recommendation of administration that the board approve the district and campus improvement plan goals and the campus targeted improvement plans for the 2021-22 school year.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the district and campus improvement plan goals and objectives and the campus targeted improvement plans for the 2021-2022 school year.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you. Okay, the motion was made by Cassandra Phillips and seconded by Carla Fahey. Are there any questions or comments?
Madam President, I have a
Yes.
question. I didn't see Bill Hart's on here. Is there a reason why they're not on there?
The way the accountability system works is even though they were an F-rated campus, they did not fall under the federal requirement for improvement, so they do not have to do a TIP plan. They do not have to do a targeted improvement plan. It's the way the system works, but they are continuously being monitored.
Okay.
Of course, one of my roles is what's called I oversee all of the school improvement campuses, and that is one school improvement campus that I also work with, and of course, Dr. Goodman works very closely with that principal as well. But they are not required to do a specific targeted improvement plan.
So what I'm hearing you say is that someone is mentoring them.
Absolutely.
There is an understanding that there is an improvement to be made, and we are to take the test slated for next year.
Yes.
And they're being prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All those in, oh, sorry, do you have one, Dr. Ivory?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I can ask it later.
Okay, are all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank
We
you.
will now move to action item C, Memorandum of Understanding with Texas Women's University for Student Teaching Partnership. The presenter is Kathleen Brown.
All right, good evening again, Madam President, Dr. Smith, Board of Trustees. This evening, I bring before you an MOU with Texas Women's University for a student teaching partnership. TWU, Texas Women's University, their educator preparation program would like to partner with Duncanville ISD to prepare future educators. This collaboration will focus on providing early field experiences for these student teachers, their internship experiences, as well as professional practicum. The placement of the candidates from the university in our school setting will enhance their future success as well as the success of students. And the other piece of the MOU is a video addendum. And that portion of the MOU articulates the protocol that would be used when video capturing technology is used for evaluating and improving the clinical practice of the candidates. And so we have partnerships with multiple universities. We are always excited about these opportunities because it is such a recruitment opportunity for us when these candidates can do their student teaching right here in Duncanville ISD. So it is the recommendation of the administration to enter into the MOU with TWU as a way to provide opportunities for students seeking to join the field of education and also as a recruitment opportunity for Duncanville ISD. It is important to note that the MOU would be in effect until either party terminates that agreement in writing. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Madam President, I move to approve the MOU and MOU video addendum with Texas Women's University for the Educator Preparation Program Partnership.
Thank you, I'm sorry. And Dr. Ivory? Yes. Okay, the motion was made by Cassandra Phillips and seconded by Dr. Lasagna Ivory. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. We will now move to the information and discussion items. The first item is transportation report. The presenter is the Director, Brad Hambrick.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Smith. It's my pleasure to come before you this evening to present the annual board report, or the annual transportation report. First, let me take the opportunity to say thank you for all that y'all do for us. Some of you were able to come out the first day of school, very dark, very early, and brave that day with us, and we really appreciate y'all doing that. For your continued help as far as recruitment, retention, those kind of things. Thank y'all for y'all's efforts in continuing to do that. I'd also like to take a moment and give a special thanks to Mrs. Lewis at Hardin for opening up her campus to us again this year. 77 of us visited her and her campus that first week before school started. Just want to take that opportunity to thank her. To the right there, you'll see we have a total of 12 vacancies in the department. 6 of those are driver vacancies. We do have 6 people in training right now, so that's good. So our efforts, y'all's efforts in doing those things is working. But it's an industry-wide problem, so we're still recruiting, we're still doing those things. So next slide, please. This is a mileage comparison for the last 3 years. As you would expect, with COVID and those kind of things coming along, it's cut our mileage pretty good. The one place that hasn't cut our mileage is athletics field trips, so that's a good thing. They're continuing to be successful, and we certainly anticipate them continuing to do that. That is a number that I am very certain is going to rise. I don't know if we'll get back to that 471,000 just because we've become more efficient with our routing and some things that we're doing differently, but we'll certainly be up around that 300,000 mark again going for this school year. Next slide, please. Ridership, of course, is also going to be down with virtual learning last year. We transported 930 kids a day-ish, give or take, on the days we counted. That's a number, again, that I fully anticipate going up. In fact, we did our first round of counts today with the high school. So we did high school today. We'll do elementary tomorrow, intermediate Wednesday, and then middle school Thursday. So by the end of next week, we should have a good count on where we're at. I don't know if we're at that 5,400 mark again, but I certainly anticipate us being around 4,500 for this school year. So. Next slide, please. Another downward trend, and this is a good one. Accidents, total preventable and non-preventable last year was 14. And you can see the numbers in previous years. This is the number that I don't anticipate going up. As the others, we expect them to. I fully anticipate this and expect this number to stay down and continue to go down. It's important to let y'all know that the majority of the accidents were very minor scrapes, and that no students were reported injured at the time of the accidents. Next slide. Training and monitoring, and this plays into that accident side of it as far as those coming down. We continue to use EduTracker to monitor what's going on in the streets. With me being on a bus most mornings and quite a few afternoons, it's hard for me to be out actually checking up and seeing what's going on. But this is a tool that I use daily to go in and just see what's going on. If I get a phone call or something, I can check their speed. I can check stop times, that kind of stuff. And I can check it, like for today, I can check it live, or I can go back. I have access to up to a year's worth of data to go back into. Also continuing to refine our driver training program. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or FMCSA, has implemented a new standard called MAP 21. That goes into effect the 7th of February, 2022. Basically, they set the curriculum, all that kind of stuff as far as driver training, behind the wheel training, coursework, that kind of stuff. We actually added their program to our Safe Schools criteria for this school year. So basically, our curriculum and what we're doing meets that standard. The one thing that we're not doing yet and that we won't be required to do until February is the actual reporting of that training. So once somebody completes training after February 7th, then all of that information, all their hours logged, all of that is recorded and uploaded to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Next slide, please. PPE, COVID, it's still here, and we're still doing what we started doing at the beginning of school last year. So we're continuing to e-mist, continuing to social distance and wear our face coverings in the office and on the school bus. I have to slow down when I say this. I want to say handless sanitizers, but touchless hand sanitizers are all functioning and used. We're still continuing to provide face coverings for the students on every bus, and just have the ability to disinfect as we go as well. So, next slide, please. Now on to the fun stuff. Last May, I believe it was around the 18th of May, thanks to Mrs. Fields, we had an ice cream. So yes, ma'am.
Brad, would you be more comfortable without your mask?
If that's okay with y'all. Yeah.
Take it off. Take it off.
Yeah, I have a hard time breathing anyway. But, so the 18th of May turned out to be an unseasonably cool day for May last year, but it was rainy. Pokios came out. Like I said, Mrs. Fields brought that out to the transportation department, and we just hung out for a little bit before afternoon routes. It was really nice to just kind of relax and enjoy the day and enjoy each other's company, and not being real worky at work. It was very nice, and we had a good time with that. The bottom left-hand corner picture, we also attended the, I believe that's at the freshman and new student orientation at the high school. And we were also at the pre-K kinder roundup, just giving out route information, being visible, trying to be proactive and get that information out, and trying to do a little recruiting while we were at it. So we had fun with that. And those four ladies, there's Mrs. Bryant, who was recognized earlier this evening. So just had a good time with that, and just trying to be more visible as far as a department goes. Next slide, please. I don't know how many phone calls I've gotten about this year. This is, where's my bus? Where's my kid?
Yeah.
My kid's not home yet. All those things that I'm sure y'all have heard as well. Hopefully not a lot, but so we've been looking into this. It's very serious. We're actually conducting demos the first week of November with technology that will allow parents to know when their child gets on and off the bus, know where they get on and off the bus. It will allow campuses. It will provide them with a dashboard so that they can keep an eye on their buses for their campus and their kids, so that they can assist with that. It uses GPS technology. Anyway, it could blow up and be really huge and really fun, or we can keep it kind of basic for what we need, for what we have to have. But I'm really excited about getting that project started, and hopefully after the first of the year, we'll be coming back to y'all with a recommendation to move forward that and have that technology implemented for next school year. So, Next slide, please. This is the thing I'm most excited about for this school year. I mentioned that we were trying to take advantage of every little opportunity that we can to recruit. We have taken I think this is like a 95 model school bus. It's one that's no longer student worthy, but it's still road worthy. And with the incentives that y'all have given with the increase in pay, the hiring bonus, those kind of things, we had the idea over the summer, what can we do, and we were kicking around in a staff meeting, and actually my fleet manager came up with this, Mr. Steve Williams. This was his idea to wrap a bus. At first I thought he was nuts, but it turned out pretty cool. So it's not completed yet, but this is our effort to be visible. We'll park it out at businesses in the community, take it to job fairs, college recruiting trips, those kind of things. So I know I'm over my time, but I appreciate y'all allowing me to go over a little bit. This is the project that I'm most excited about for this school year. So do y'all have any questions for me?
Madam President, I have a comment.
Okay.
Mrs. Fields, Mr. Brad, I just want to say I appreciate all that you're doing, and I commend your team because you, and I don't know if everyone realizes this, but your team are the first eyes on our kids. You get to see if they're hungry, cold, sad, happy. And I thank you for taking care of the kids and taking them to school safely. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Hambrick. We will now move to information discussion agenda item B, Gear Up Grant. The presenter is Dr. Jordan.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Smith. It is my pleasure to share with you information about an incredible opportunity for our current 7th grade students and a recently awarded grant, Gear Up. The Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs, better known as Gear Up, state grant is a 7-year federal initiative designed to increase early college awareness, readiness, and success for low-income, historically underrepresented students through partnerships with districts, community organizations, and post-secondary institutions. Recently, Duncanville ISD was selected as a recipient of the Gear Up grant for the 21-22 school year. We are still in the early stages of notification and are anxiously awaiting additional information from Region 10. Although we are in the early notification process, we wanted to share the great news with you and provide you with a high-level overview of what is to come. We are thankful for the Duncanville ISD Education Foundation, Region 10 Service Center, and Texas Instruments for their partnership in assisting with the writing of the grant. The 7-year grant will fund college and career readiness programs for the entire cohort of Duncanville's 7th grade students. This is our current class of 2027 through their first year post-secondary education. An intricate component of the Gear Up grant is for the districts to collaborate with higher education, business, and community partners. We are blessed to be able to work with Dallas College, UTA, Texas A&M Commerce, as well as Texas Instruments, Region 10, and then the Duncanville ISD Education Foundation. We will provide you an update regarding specific details with our partners, our services, and plans in the near future. So what does Gear Up offer for our students? Let's take a look at our current 7th grade students and the supports they will receive in each grade level moving forward. So in 7th grade this year, our students will take college readiness and career investigations. Both are semester courses, and then they will receive tutoring and mentoring support. Next year, when those 7th graders move up to 8th grade, students will be able to take a high school career prep course, Money Matters, which will offer the students the opportunity to receive high school credit. They will also participate in college and career fairs at the campus, summer PSAT prep, and receive exposure to college campuses through field trips. So our 7th graders will move up to 8th grade and then 9th grade. So during their 9th grade year, this same cohort of students will receive strategic and intentional support with additional tutors and advisors. They are entering into high school, and our high school does a phenomenal job of career and college prep already. So these next set of supports is in addition to what already occurs at Duncanville High School. In 10th grade, that same cohort will begin to identify financial aid resources. And then during their 11th grade year, we will be intentional, and focus will be on their financial aid resources, scholarship opportunities, potential matches for internships and externships, and then really digging into college and universities based on their career matches. And finally, this cohort's 12th grade year, 2027. The goal is to fine-tune and make sure our students and parents are aware and prepared for priority deadlines. So if we do the work up front, that senior year, which is so full of activities and life for our students, should be enjoyable and not really focus on our parents needing to find out college information that last year. I would like to note that this grant focuses on this year's current 7th graders. We know that it's a wonderful opportunity. We would like to expose all of our students to this grant, and so we can expand the opportunity to other students by applying for the grant in the future. So every year that the grant is offered, we can apply, and we will add cohorts year after year after year. So we are excited to begin our year 1 timeline, and we'll spend the next several months ordering college and career awareness supplies, organizing our college, career, and military readiness activities, planning for summer programs, assigning a Region 10 project director, and working with Region 10 to hire a site manager. We will also be designing and implementing a GO Center at each middle school. The GO Center is a college transition center. Currently, we have a GO Center at Duncanville High School. At our GO Center, students can explore careers and take career interest assessments. They can register for the SAT and ACT online. They can investigate and explore careers, complete college applications. They can research and apply for scholarships, complete their financial aid forms, and conduct job searches. And so although we're hoping to expand our GO Centers to the middle school, we know that our middle school students are not necessarily ready to do all of those activities. So we will design our GO Center to meet the needs of our middle school students, which will focus on exposure and awareness. I know I've shared a wealth of information with you in such a short amount of time. Again, we are in the early stages as we were just notified of the award, but I assure you we will come back and provide you with additional details and updates. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
I don't think there's any questions, but it sounds like a great program.
Yes.
We're excited. Thank you.
Excited.
We will now move to the information discussion agenda, item C, COVID-19 update. The presenter is Dr. Karen Halachka.
Good evening again, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Smith. I'm pleased to share with you this evening an update on the impact of COVID-19 in Duncanville ISD and the actions we are continuing to take to support our staff and our students. Throughout this year, we have continued to monitor the enrollment and attendance of our students since we know the impact that COVID-19 has had on both. Please note that our data in tonight's presentation is updated daily, so the numbers you see this evening may not exactly match what's in your board book. Our enrollment has stayed relatively consistent with over 11,900 students, which still exceeds our projected enrollment. However, our attendance continues to be a little bit of a challenge. Last month, I shared that we are working to address our lower than normal attendance through incentives, interventions, and tracking. Beginning with the second 9 weeks, we are launching the Roll Call Rewards program to acknowledge our students that are attending school 90% of the time with a small spirit prize at the end of the 9 weeks. Those students who are in attendance 95% of the time will go into a drawing for even bigger incentives, ranging from special passes to event tickets to technology, and even more. So we are really looking forward to getting to share with you some of our student winners at the end of the second 9 weeks. In addition to monitoring our enrollment and attendance data, we are continuing to track our COVID student cases and are pleased to really share some good news with you. Our numbers continue to show a very steady decline even after the fall break. We have been very vigilant with following safety protocols at our campuses, and of course the added safety precaution of mask has made a difference. Overall, we have had 981 student cases in total this year. However, a majority of those cases were during the first 6 weeks of the school year. As you can see from the data here, our schools are safe and healthy for our students and staff. I will now turn it over to Ms. Kathleen Brown to share our staff COVID numbers and efforts.
Thank you, Dr. Holochka. COVID-19, as we all know, has had a huge impact on staff here in Duncanville ISD. Through it all, our staff members have remained focused and resilient and have continued to meet the needs of students. We've started to see a decline, just like on the student side, a decline in the number of positive cases in staff each week, and so that is great news. Although we know that the pandemic is still real, it's very refreshing to see that our data is trending in a positive direction. On last week, we had 2 cases. Now, as you can see, we're up to 7 cases at this time. Since the beginning of the school year, we've had a total of 84 positive cases in staff members, and that number also is down quite a bit from where we sat on last year. And so even in the midst of everything that we know that is happening with COVID and all of the impact that it's had on our staff, we definitely want to take note that Duncanville is doing something right because our information is trending and our data is trending in the right direction. Typically, after breaks, we kind of hold our breath and wait for the spike. And so last week, although we had 2 cases, we've watching our data very closely. We had a little bit of a couple of cases at the end of the week, but it is nowhere near where we have seen the cases as it was at the beginning of the school year. The impact of COVID-19 has had on our students as well as our staff, of course, is not taken lightly. I apologize. Next slide. At the board meeting on last month, you had an opportunity to hear from several staff members about this impact. And so with a focus on employees, as it states in our strategic plan, we've taken that feedback and other feedback from our staff members throughout the year to generate some ideas. And this is informational purposes only. So we're just talking through some of the ideas of things that we could consider as a district to support our staff as it related to COVID-19. So since the last meeting, we've completed a survey, and we sent that survey out to districts across the state of Texas to kind of get an idea of what they're doing and what's happening. We too, once we've sent that survey out, have received surveys that we've participated in for other districts as well. Because we wanted to find out how they were handling COVID-19 leave related to staff members in their district. That's information that we gathered at the very beginning of the school year, and we were right where everyone else mostly were. They weren't offering days, and so we wanted to see where are those districts now. So the responses from that survey varied, and there's no one way to support staff related to the pandemic, and so I want to take a few moments to first review some of the highlights from that survey. So although most had researched an option to give an incentive to staff for COVID-19 vaccination, 94% of the districts that responded did not plan to give an incentive to staff for COVID-19. Of the 6% that did, those range from $250 to $500 for that vaccination, but you could see overwhelmingly the data said that districts are not doing that. When considering paid sick leave for employees who tested positive, about a fourth. We had about 31 districts who responded. A fourth of those surveyed are only providing paid sick leave to staff members who test positive. So just to remind you how that worked with the Family First Coronavirus Response Act and what you all offered on last school year, that was expanded to everyone. If the person tested positive and they're an employee, if they had to quarantine, if they were out to take care of a student, or their child who had tested positive, all of those things were covered. A little bit over a fourth of the districts that responded were only given leave, paid leave to employees who tested positive, and multiple of those districts were extending that only through September 30th. As we talked about, that's when the Families First Coronavirus Response Act ends. Another fourth of those surveyed are offering paid sick leave when an employee tests positive, when an employee has to quarantine, or to care for a family member who has tested positive or to quarantine, and are anticipating what that date will look like after we hear if there will be any additional extension of the optional Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Another fourth of those surveyed are not offering any additional leave except the leave that their district has granted to staff members at the beginning of the year, and that aligns with what our practice has been thus far this year, the 5 state and 5 local days, okay? And then the last fourth of those surveyed were providing access to other leave, like the sick leave bank, and a combination of other items that other districts were offering. And so that brings us to a couple of the things that we've thought through of what we can do to be creative to potentially support our staff, okay? So with the ending of that optional extension of Families First Coronavirus Response Act, these are the options that we've thought through. A little bit about the sick leave bank, because that's where these options are going to focus on, just to give you a little bit of information about how the sick leave bank works. In Duncanville ISD, it offers access to a pool of sick leave days, and those days are contributed by eligible district employees. The benefits are for catastrophic illness or injury of the sick leave bank member, and for absences due to those illnesses or injury, or for the death of an immediate family member. And so that's important to know, that when you look at our sick leave bank, all sick leave banks are not created equal, so it's always important to see what does the sick leave bank in that particular district offer. When comparing that to COVID and some of the situations that our staff members have dealt with, our sick leave bank is truly aligned to what could potentially happen as related to COVID-19 and some of the things that we have seen. The purpose of the bank is to provide additional paid sick leave days to members during a time when they are unable to perform the duties of their position, they have exhausted all of their leave, and they have been absent for 10 consecutive days after exhausting that leave. That also aligns, those 10 days. When that sick leave bank was created years and years ago, of course, the 10 days was just what the bank came up with, but that aligns with what we're seeing as related to COVID-19 as well. Employees have access to join the sick leave bank during the benefits enrollment period, or for new hires, they have an opportunity to join within the first 30 days of their employment. Okay, and so that would bring us to option 1. In looking at what our sick leave bank has to offer, of course, that option was open during our benefits enrollment period earlier this year in August, and individuals in the district had an opportunity to join. And so in order to support our staff, one option would be to reopen the local sick leave bank, give our current full-time employees the opportunity to join within a specific window of time. And so what that looks like is, okay, the benefits enrollment period is over. That's typically when you could have joined. If we chose to open that sick leave bank, or the sick leave bank governing body decided to open that up, then employees in the district who, for whatever reason, did not opt to be in the sick leave bank during that period would have the option to opt in at that time, okay? Option number 2 is to give all full-time employees 2 additional local days for this current school year. Currently, we give 5 state and 5 local days to all of our employees, okay? You've heard from our staff members, some employees have exhausted all of their leave already, and so at the beginning of the year, when you're holding on to those days, sometimes it's very difficult to give those 2 days up on the front end, because you're not really thinking about the benefit later on, you're thinking about the right now, and we understand that. And so as a consideration, giving all full-time employees 2 additional local days for this current school year. So that's not everybody who's exhausted their leave, it's everybody who qualifies for that time. And then the third option would be to give all full-time employees those 2 additional days, so everyone gets the 2 days, and to reopen that local sick leave bank for a specified period of time and give full-time employees an opportunity to join. That third option, the reason why that one is there is because if I'm in a situation where I have exhausted all of my leave and you open the bank, then I can't opt in the bank, right? And so you may ask, okay, what if we did those things, or we considered those things, and a person did not opt in, right? The same thing happened during the benefits enrollment period. It is a choice, but with option 3, we would have potentially given every employee the opportunity to join, so that in the event, and giving you what you needed to join. If you're already a member, you're already in, and you just have 2 additional days to use, right? If you have those 2 days and you opt not to join, then there is no benefit later, because then the bank would close. However, you would have the option to join at the beginning of the following year, in alignment with the sick leave bank process. And we would only be considering that if we looked at this as an option for this current school year. So I would be happy to answer any questions you have about those options, the way the sick leave bank works, anything you'd like me to answer at this time. No? Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. We will now move to communications from citizens. And I have 3 cards. Are there any more? Okay. We now move to communication from citizens, and we received 3 cards. And before you make your way to the front, please allow me to read the following. State law prohibits board members from responding to speakers in public forum unless the topic regards a matter specifically posted on tonight's agenda. The board will carefully consider any concerns expressed, and an administrator will investigate the matter. At your request, the administrator will contact you regarding your concern. Speakers will limit their comments to 3 minutes. If more than 5 speakers are present, speakers must limit their comments to 2 minutes. If delegations of more than 5 people plan to speak at the same topic, they should appoint 1 representative to speak on their behalf or be limited to 5 speakers. Any discussion concerning specific personnel is prohibited in open session. If you wish to address the board regarding a personnel matter, please contact the superintendent's office to schedule the matter for a future closed session meeting. Having stated that, when I call your name, please come forward, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to address the board. And I have Ms. Trice.
Good evening. Yulena Trice, 820 Delano Drive, Unit 62, Duncanville, Texas. Board of Trustees, Madam President, Dr. Smith. Teachers and staff are having to endure health concerns for themselves, family members, and financial hardships due to using personal time. I would like to share a few testimonials among the many testimonials received. My first testimonial is from a teacher, and they quote, "My teacher aide, who was seriously sick with COVID, had to come back to work not fully recovered because she didn't want to use all of her personal days. And because of that, I was so uncomfortable working with her. I had to do most of the work because she was still so frail and still having some pain and headache. I felt sorry for her." My second testimony is also from a staff, and they state, "A lack of COVID-19 paid leave would mean using my personal days. I already have health issues and have to use my days for that. And missing 10 days without pay would mean I would end up not being able to pay my rent." Another testimonial from a paraprofessional states, "Recently I had to take off 10 days due to my 6-year-old daughter being exposed to a positive case. We were lucky to test negative, as well as having to take off with pay for my personal days. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have done it to afford it. I'm already living off of a paraprofessional salary." And then my last testimonial is coming from a staff member, and they state, "Working in the school daily and being exposed to COVID-19 frequently by students and staff is a constant concern of mine due to the fact that I have to interact with my elderly mother, and I am her only source of transportation for all of her needs and necessities. So I am careful not to expose her to any potential hazard when at all possible that would cause her illness. In the event that she gets sick, I would have to use all of my personal time to attend to her. That being said, in the event that I contract COVID, God forbid, then I would not have any personal time to cover my absences, and I absolutely cannot afford to have any deductions from my pay. That would create a financial hardship for me. So in summary, due to the hardships teachers and staff are facing, 10 COVID paid days are needed. We are asking that the board do what is needed for teachers and staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Foster? Go ahead. Yes.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Smith. For nearly 20 years, I have proudly served as an educator, campus leader, and teacher mentor in this district. At times, I have been the unofficial nurse, counselor, friend, and sometimes mother to the thousands of students that I've had the pleasure of meeting. In the midst of this pandemic, I have fought to give the students of Duncanville ISD the highest quality education. I have fought to provide my students with a safe, productive, and engaged learning environment. But today, I am fighting for paid COVID leave. As a single mother of 3, my biggest fear was realized when I contracted COVID-19 last month. I could not say for certain where I contracted the virus, but I do know for a fact that 4 of my students had tested positive that week. Before I even knew I was positive, my brother, mother, and uncle with pre-existing medical conditions had also contracted the virus. I was suddenly thrust into the scariest 2 weeks of my life. While my family and I recovered, I was forced to use 10 days of personal leave that I could have used throughout the school year for non-COVID related illnesses, doctor's visits, or mental health days. For many teachers and staff, using their personal leave for COVID-related issues creates an extreme financial burden. I witnessed firsthand how detrimental the lack of paid COVID leave could be when my coworker, Brandy Grother, and her husband, Rich Grother, also contracted COVID-19. Having only 10 days of earned personal leave left, her remaining 14 days of quarantine caused her to exhaust all of her remaining time. And sadly, her husband took a turn for the worse. And after being placed on a ventilator for a short time, he lost his battle with COVID-19. For each day she grieved the loss of her vibrant and loving husband of 30 years, it would be a loss of additional pay. She should not have been put in the position where a GoFundMe account would be needed to cover his medical expenses, loss of wages, and final arrangements. With the absence of COVID paid leave, teachers and staff in this district are suffering. Duncanville ISD is the best in the Southwest, but it is failing to do what Dallas ISD, DeSoto ISD, and Lancaster ISD have done to ensure that their teachers will be compensated in the unfortunate event of a positive COVID-19 diagnosis or mandatory self-quarantine due to close contact. Working on the front lines of education, especially during this pandemic, is mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausting. But the amazing teachers and staff of Duncanville ISD continue to rise to the occasion day after day after day. We show up while recovering. We show up while grieving. We show up knowing that we won't receive a full paycheck next month. Now it's time for our district to show up for us. I urge you to provide Duncanville ISD staff with 10 days of COVID-19 paid leave for the 2021-2022 school year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Harrith?
Good evening. Good evening, Madam President, trustees, and Dr. Smith. At the last school board meeting, my colleagues and I spoke out regarding the need for district staff to have the 10 days of paid COVID-19 leave that we had during the 2020-2021 school year. And that was taken away from us as COVID-19 continues to rage and as many of our students and colleagues fall ill to this deadly disease. We highlighted the fact that other districts around us have extended paid COVID-19 leave for their staff because they understand the massive impact that COVID has had on us. We are asking that teachers not be punished for doing what is safe as per CDC recommendations and required as per district policy by quarantining for 10 days when they test positive for COVID-19. 10 days of paid leave is all that a teacher receives for an entire school year, which is often needed for personal situations and for teachers' own physical and mental health, which has increasingly declined for so many of us due to the tremendous amount of stress caused by teaching throughout this global pandemic. 1,776 letters have been sent by educators and allies to the school board expressing the need for 10 paid leave days for COVID-19 related absences. The board's response to our outcry for fairness has been inadequate. Reopening the sick leave bank is not enough. Many people do not have the necessary days to donate to the bank to begin with, and we should not have to rely on the goodwill of our fellow employees in order to get needed days. Another proposed solution is giving each staff member 2 more paid local days. This barely covers a fraction of the 10 days of quarantine required by district policy. The following is the policy that has recently been adopted by DeSoto ISD. The DeSoto Cares COVID Response Resolution allows all district employees, contractual or non-contractual, salaried and non-salaried, who have been instructed not to report to work due to reasons related to COVID-19 to receive additional paid leave without using state or local leave time based on one of the criteria below. 1, the employee is subject to a federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation order related to COVID-19. 2, the employee is advised to self-quarantine related to COVID-19 by a healthcare provider. 3, the employee is experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and is seeking a medical diagnosis. 4, the employee is caring for an individual subject to an order described in 1 or 2. 5, the employee is caring for a child whose school or place of care is closed for reasons related to COVID-19. Employees granted leave under this resolution will be granted up to 2 weeks or 80 business hours of leave. We do appreciate the options explored, but beseech you to adopt a policy similar to DeSoto ISD in order to do what is truly right for staff and students. We thank the board for its time and consideration.
Thank you all for coming. Being there is no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned.